So this question asks you to find sine of theta minus phi. Seems like a nebulous instructions, no numbers, no nothing, but here is your information. Remember that anytime you're given trig ratios, you can always draw a triangle, and that's going to be the technique here. So this information tells me that in a right triangle, where one of the angles is theta, I know for a fact that the tangent, which is opposite over adjacent, is going to be 4 over 3. And through Pythagoras' theorem, I know that the remaining side is 5. If I know that sine of phi is negative 1/10, I know that in a right triangle, with the side length, with one of the angles being phi, I know that the sine of the angle is going to be, which is opposite over hypotenuse, is going to be 1 over radical 10. Now, there is a negative to deal with. Technically, that does mean that you have to draw the triangle in a particular place. I don't deal with the negative. I basically ignore the negative until the very end because we're going to take care of it when we apply the quadrant. So I'll just say that the opposite over hypotenuse is 1 over radical 10. And then through Pythagoras' theorem, I know that the missing side is 3. So then you just basically do the sign of a difference. We do know, or we should know, that there are identities when there are pluses and minuses inside trig functions. So according to the identity, just looking straight on your reference sheet, sign of a difference is sine of the first angle, cosine of the second angle, minus cosine of the first angle, sine of the second angle. And then now that we have these complete triangles over here, we can fill in the identities. But you got to be mindful. Please be mindful of what quadrant we're in. That is super duper important. That'll tell you about positives and negatives. So the first thing I need to fill in is sine of theta. So looking at this triangle, sine of theta is 4/5. I have to remember that I am in quadrant 3, and I should know that sine is negative in quadrant 3. So that guy needs a negative there. Next is cosine of phi. So looking at the phi triangle, I can see that the cosine is 3 over radical 10. But phi is in quadrant 4, and I know that cosine is positive in quadrant 4, so that's good. Minus cosine of theta. Looking at the theta triangle, I can see that the cosine is 3/5. We are in quadrant 3, and then I should know that cosine is negative in quadrant 3. And then next is sine of phi. So looking at this picture, we see the sine is 1 over rad 10, and of course, we already know it's negative because they told us, or because we're in quadrant 4. And then you just simplify, do math. So what's that? That's negative 12 over 5 rad 10. Minus, because we have 3 negatives here, so altogether it's going to be negative, minus 3 over 5 rad 10. So they have the same denominator, so we can put them together. So that's negative 15 over 5 rad 10. And I can reduce the 5 and the 15 to give us negative 3 over radical 10. So that is the value of sine of theta minus phi.